Have you ever felt a shift in a room's atmosphere when someone enters? Not a disruption caused by loudness or flash, but a subtle pull, a quiet gravity. This is the art of silent attraction, an effortless magnetism that emanates from within. It is not about being the center of attention, but about commanding respect and admiration without saying a word. This quality is rare, for a simple and profound reason. So many of us spend our lives in a frantic search for validation, exhausting ourselves in the effort to be seen, all while overlooking the quiet strength that moves through the noise without making a sound. True presence is not built on tricks. It is forged in character, discipline, and the courage to stand in your own truth when the crowd demands you follow. If you are ready to cease the chase for approval and instead become the source of your own gravity, then let this be an invitation. A first step toward a mastery of self, where growth, clarity, and purpose replace the chaos and the constant need to prove your worth. It begins with an inner stillness. Some people possess it naturally. They enter a space and the very air seems to settle around them, though they have yet to utter a word. They aren't adorned in the loudest fashions or armed with the most captivating stories. What they carry is far rarer, a grounded sense of self, an internal anchor that cannot be forged or feigned. This presence is born from a quiet revolution within, the decision that your value is not a currency determined by the approval of others. In a world that trades in likes and public opinion, this choice is an act of defiance. The ancient Stoics knew this well. As Marcus Aurelius observed, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." True independence is the gentle, steady work of reversing that imbalance. It is learning to honor your own judgment as much as, if not more than, the chorus of voices around you. This doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means developing an internal compass so true that you can navigate by it, taking in advice without being blown off course by every passing wind. This strength is not forged in grand, dramatic gestures, but in a series of small, deliberate acts of self-trust. It is in ordering the meal you desire, without a glance at what others are choosing. It is in wearing a piece of clothing you love, simply because it feels like you, regardless of passing trends. It is in claiming a weekend for an activity that truly nourishes your spirit, rather than one that merely decorates your social calendar. People often mistake this self-reliance for a refusal to connect, but that is not strength. It is fear disguised as pride. Real independence allows for deeper connection because it is not born of need. You enjoy companionship without clinging to it. You consider another's perspective without letting it overwrite your own. You are not in a relationship to be completed. You are there to share your completeness. As Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." That bravery comes from trusting that you can stand alone, which paradoxically allows you to engage more authentically with everyone. To arrive at this place, you must be willing to spend time with yourself, not out of loneliness, but out of genuine curiosity. Perhaps it means sitting in silence for 10 minutes a day, simply noticing your own thoughts, or taking a solo walk without the distraction of music or podcasts. At first, this silence may feel restless. We have been conditioned to fill every empty space with noise, but as you persist, you will find that solitude is not emptiness. It is the fertile ground where clarity grows. This inner sovereignty naturally expresses itself outward, in a quality one might call silent elegance. It is not a rigid set of rules, but a fluid grace that flows from a deep well of self-possession. It is visible in your composure, that unshakable stillness at your core that tells the world, "I am grounded, and I am not easily swayed." People are drawn to those who are not rattled by unexpected turns or awkward pauses. It is felt in the way you move through the world, not with stiffness, but with a calm, deliberate purpose. Your posture is open and relaxed, your steps unhurried, communicating that you are present in your journey, not just rushing toward a destination. This is not about seeking attention, but about inhabiting your own space with quiet confidence. Even your gaze speaks volumes. It is not about staring, but about offering steady, comfortable eye contact that shows you are engaged, creating an unspoken sense of trust. And it is most profoundly experienced in how you interact with others. In a culture that often mistakes volume for value, silent elegance understands the power of deep listening. To offer someone your undivided attention, to truly hear them without formulating your response, is a rare gift. It makes people feel seen and valued, and they will associate that feeling of warmth and respect with your presence. Elegance also lies in restraint, in knowing that sometimes the most powerful response is a thoughtful pause. When your words are chosen with care, they carry more weight. People lean in to listen because they know you do not speak idly. Beyond the visible, this personal signature extends into the realm of the senses, into an element so subtle it is often overlooked: the power of scent. Think of the moments that linger in your memory, attached not to a word or a face, but to a fleeting scent. It is a whisper in the air, a fragrance that attaches itself to a conversation, an encounter. Years later, a trace of that same note catches on the breeze, and in an instant, the memory returns in its full emotional color. This is the quiet power of a signature scent. It is a silent calling card, a part of your presence that remains long after you have gone. To cultivate a signature scent is not an act of vanity, nor an attempt to impress. It is an act of self-respect, a final, intimate detail in the art of presenting yourself to the world. It signals an attention to the subtle things, an understanding that true presence is a harmony of every element, seen and unseen. The most captivating scents are rarely the loudest. They do not announce their arrival. They are discovered. A hint of clean linen, a subtle note of wood or spice, these fragrances invite connection rather than demand attention. They blend with your own essence until they are inseparable from you. Of course, a scent is merely an echo. It is the final grace note in a composition of personal care. It rests upon a foundation of cleanliness and thoughtful grooming, not as a mask, but as an enhancement. It is the quiet confirmation of the care you extend to yourself. It is a way of saying, without words, that you believe you are worthy of your own attention. In the end, this journey inward, toward independence, elegance, and a conscious presence, is not about building walls to push the world away. It is about cultivating an inner sanctuary so profound that the noise of the world cannot breach it. It is the quiet strength the philosopher Montaigne spoke of when he wrote, "The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself." When you belong to yourself first, you move through life with a self-trust that needs no announcement. It is felt in your stillness, seen in your grace, and remembered in the subtle traces you leave behind. This is the power that endures, and once you have cultivated it, you will never again feel the need to chase respect. It will simply find you wherever you are. As Michel de Montaigne once observed, the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. A signature scent is an intimate expression of that belonging. It is the deliberate choice of something that feels like home, so that when others encounter it, they are meeting the most authentic version of you. There is a subtle psychology at play here as well. When you are confident in your scent, when you have taken the time to choose and apply it with intention, you carry yourself with a different grace. You move with more assurance, you interact with greater ease, and you project a quiet confidence that resonates with others, even if they cannot articulate why. One of the most profound benefits of a signature scent is its ability to let your presence linger long after you have departed. not in a heavy, overpowering manner, but as a gentle reminder, a faint trace that keeps you in someone's memory. Its power lies not in forcing remembrance, but in offering a reason to remember. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus might have framed it this way: leave behind not just a memory of your words or actions, but a feeling, an atmosphere, a trace of your essence that others cannot quite shake. Here, discipline becomes essential. The efficacy of a signature scent lies in its consistency. It is not something to be changed weekly on a whim. Over time, this consistency builds a powerful association, a form of recognition. In a way, it becomes your personal brand, something instantly familiar that signals, "I am here." Seneca might call this living in accordance with your principles, even in the smallest of things, for they reflect the greater structure of your life. To cultivate this habit, begin simply. Sample different scents and pay attention to how they make you feel. Do they energize you? Do they ground you? Do they put you at ease? Select the one that feels true and then commit to it. Weave it into your daily ritual, applying it before important meetings, social gatherings, or simply as part of your morning preparation. In time, it will become second nature, as will the confidence it inspires. The truth is, the world remembers far less of what we say than how we make people feel. A signature scent is one of those small, almost invisible tools that can shape that feeling in a powerful way. It is quiet, personal, and deeply human. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, what is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees. Tending to your own presence, down to the finest detail, benefits not only you but everyone you encounter. It makes their experience of you richer, more memorable, and more pleasant. So the next time you consider how to make a lasting impression, remember this: your scent speaks long after you have stopped talking. This is not vanity. It is self-respect in its most subtle form. It is the invisible handshake, the quiet nod, the unspoken statement that you are a person who attends to the details. And in a world that rushes past them, that alone can make you unforgettable. From time to time, we encounter a rare individual who makes us feel as though we are the only person in the world. When they listen, they are not glancing at their phone, scanning the room, or waiting for their turn to speak. They are fully present with you, absorbing every word. We walk away from these conversations, remembering not just the words exchanged, but the profound feeling of being valued. That is the quiet magic of being fully present. In an age where distraction is the norm, genuine presence has become one of the most magnetic and unforgettable qualities a person can possess. As Carl Jung wrote, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Presence is the catalyst for that transformation. It is the unspoken signal that says, "I see you. You matter." The truth is, presence is not complicated. It is simple. But simple does not mean easy. We live in a culture that thrives on interruption. Notifications, infinite scrolls, and the myth of multitasking are all designed to pull our attention from the here and now. To be present requires a deliberate resistance to that pull. The Stoics understood this principle long before the advent of smartphones. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, urged, "Confine yourself to the present." For him, this was not mere advice. It was a method for cutting through the noise of life. When you are truly focused on the present moment, you are neither haunted by the past nor consumed by the future. You are anchored, and people can feel that anchor in you. When you offer someone your full presence, you are telling them, without words, that they are worthy of your time and attention. Consider how rare that is today. Most of us have been in conversations where the other person is nodding politely while their eyes betray a wandering mind. you sense it immediately, and it feels dismissive. It is the emotional equivalent of being told, "You are not my priority." Conversely, when someone gives you their undivided attention, you feel validated. You feel that your thoughts and feelings carry weight. Seneca understood the power of this focus when he said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Wasting our moments by splitting our attention robs not just us, but the people we care about. Presence is not about perfection. It is about intention. It is not that you will never be distracted, but that you choose to gently return your focus to the person or task before you. And this applies to more than just conversations. To be present is to give your full focus to whatever you are doing, whether it is preparing a meal, reading a book, or simply walking down the street. Our minds are like restless travelers, always jumping ahead to the next destination. But when you commit to noticing the details, the scent of the air, the expression on a face, the precise tone of a voice, you open yourself to a depth of experience that most people rush past entirely. Psychologically, presence has an immediate impact on connection. When you give someone your attention, you are not just hearing their words, you are perceiving their body language, their tone, and the emotions behind what they say. This makes you far more empathetic and responsive. Of course, this requires self-discipline. We are often tempted to formulate our response instead of truly listening. But genuine presence means letting go of the need to control the conversation and simply allowing it to unfold. As Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This is not just a guideline for politeness. It is a path to genuine influence. When people feel truly heard, they become more open, more trusting, and more willing to engage with you. One of the hidden benefits of presence is that it makes you memorable without any need for theatrics. You may not tell the wittiest jokes or have the most captivating stories, but if you make someone feel that their words matter, they will remember you. And the beauty of this is that presence is available to everyone. It is not dependent on wealth, appearance, or status. All it requires is a choice: to put down the phone, to quiet the mental chatter, and to be here, now. As Montaigne also said, the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. You cannot give your attention to others if you have not first learned to ground yourself in your own presence. Being fully present does not mean you lose yourself in others. It is about balancing your own thoughts with a profound openness. Too often, we listen only to respond, filtering everything through our own agenda. Presence means temporarily setting that agenda aside to step into someone else's world. Carl Jung described this as holding space for another's reality, allowing both perspectives to coexist. This requires a certain humility, the recognition that your view is not the only one that matters in the moment. If you wish to practice being more present, start small. The next time you are in a conversation, consciously put your phone away. Face the person directly. Maintain steady, comfortable eye contact, not a stare but a gentle gaze. And when your mind drifts, as it inevitably will, simply bring it back without judgment. This is the same principle behind mindfulness, which the Stoics practiced in their own way, through daily reflection and a disciplined focus on the present. The rewards of presence extend far beyond making others feel valued. It transforms your own experience of life. When you are fully here, you notice the beauty you have been overlooking. You find more joy in simple moments. Your relationships deepen, and you begin to feel a profound sense of calm, free from the constant juggle of past and future. It is also worth noting that presence makes you more persuasive. When people feel heard by you, they are far more likely to listen to you in return. In high-stakes conversations, a calm, attentive presence can diffuse tension more effectively than any clever argument. It signals composure and respect, qualities that are deeply attractive. At its core, presence is about respect. For yourself enough to show up fully, and for others enough to give them your most valuable resource, your attention. The next time you find yourself in a conversation, ask, "Am I truly here? Am I giving this person the focus I would wish for myself?" Presence costs nothing, yet it is one of the rarest gifts you can offer. And in a world where most people are half living through their devices, being fully present is not just a social skill. It is a superpower. People may forget your words, they may even forget your face, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And when you are present, what they feel is seen, heard, and valued. That is the kind of connection that leaves a mark, not for a moment, but for a lifetime. There is an undeniable captivation in a person you cannot quite decipher. You observe the way they speak, the depth with which they listen, and the quiet confidence they exude, yet you sense there is more beneath the surface. They do not reveal every detail of their life upon first meeting. They are warm and approachable, yet a part of them remains just out of reach, and that is precisely what keeps you intrigued. In a world where oversharing is the norm, where every thought and meal is broadcast for immediate consumption, the ability to hold something back has become both rare and powerful. We live in an age where privacy is almost seen as a weakness, as if discretion implies deceit. But the Stoics would argue that restraint is a virtue. Epictetus advised, "Be silent for the most part, or speak only what is necessary and in few words." This was not counsel to be cold or distant, but to recognize the weight of one's words and the sanctity of one's inner world. When you leave space for people to wonder, you invite them to pay closer attention. They lean in, they ask questions. They contemplate you after you have left the room, because you have given them just enough to pique their curiosity without fully satisfying it. This is not a call for manipulation or frustrating games of chase. True mystery is an act of self-respect. It is the quiet understanding that not every part of you needs to be on public display. You can share your personality, your humor, and your ideas without surrendering every chapter of your story in the first encounter. Maintaining a touch of mystery also lends greater impact to your actions. When you speak less of your plans and more on their execution, your results become the statement. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Similarly, you need not broadcast your journey step by step. Simply do the work. When the outcome becomes visible, it carries far more weight than 1,000 updates along the way. Consider it in terms of storytelling. The most compelling narratives do not reveal everything at once. They offer fragments, hints, and foreshadowing, compelling the audience to continue. You too are telling a story through the way you live. If you hand over the entire plot immediately, there is nothing left to discover. But if you allow your depth to be revealed gradually, each new layer becomes a moment of intrigue. As the philosopher Blaise Pascal noted, "We are generally the better persuaded by the reasons we discover ourselves than by those given to us by others." When people uncover aspects of you in their own time, they become more invested in the connection. This does not mean becoming secretive to the point of isolation. Mystery is not about shutting people out. It is about setting boundaries around what you choose to share and with whom. There is a quiet strength in holding something just for yourself, protecting the sacredness of your inner life. The Stoics called this living in accordance with nature, not casting everything to the winds of public opinion, but keeping your inner world rooted and inviolable. Social media has blurred these lines, fostering the illusion that constant posting equates to authenticity. But authenticity is not oversharing. It is being genuine in what you do share, while honoring the parts of yourself that remain private. As Montaigne wisely put it, "We can be knowledgeable with other men's knowledge, but we cannot be wise with other men's wisdom." Your own wisdom, forged from personal experience, does not need constant validation to be real. In fact, it often grows stronger in silence. An unexpected benefit of this restraint is the respect it commands. When you are not constantly explaining yourself, you signal a deep-seated confidence. You communicate, non-verbally, that you do not require universal understanding to be at peace with who you are. This quality is admired, often unconsciously. Mystery also grants you control over your own narrative. By revealing yourself slowly and intentionally, you guide how others experience you. You can allow them to see your humor before they see your ambition, your kindness before they learn of your struggles. This is not deception. It is pacing. It is inviting people to earn their way into the deeper parts of your story, which not only protects you, but also makes those connections more meaningful when they form. There is another reason this approach is so effective. It mirrors life itself. We are naturally drawn to what we do not fully understand. Our minds crave completion, and so when something feels unfinished, we return to it. The ancient Greeks understood this in their concept of aporia, the state of puzzlement that compels deeper inquiry. By not revealing everything, you leave open spaces for others to explore, and in that exploration, they often discover as much about themselves as they do about you. To cultivate this in your own life, begin by observing your habits. Do you feel an urge to explain every choice, to post every experience, to offer every detail when asked a simple question? Practice restraint. When asked what you are working on, offer a concise answer without the full backstory. When something wonderful happens, savor it privately for a while before you share it. The goal is not to be evasive, but to be intentional. In relationships, a touch of mystery adds depth and longevity. It keeps interactions fresh, as there is always more to learn. Even in long-term partnerships, maintaining private reflections, hobbies, or practices can sustain the vitality of the connection, allowing both individuals to continue discovering each other over time. However, it is crucial that mystery never become a mask for dishonesty. When information is withheld to manipulate, intrigue sours into mistrust. True mystery works because it is rooted in authenticity. You are not hiding who you are. You are simply choosing not to broadcast it. It is a conscious decision to let your story unfold with care. In the end, keeping a touch of mystery is about knowing the value of your own life. Not everyone has earned the right to every part of you, and that is perfectly acceptable. It is about preserving the richness of your inner world so that it is not diluted by overexposure. As Seneca wisely said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." Part of that power comes from knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the work. Stop feeling that you owe the world a running commentary of your life. Let people wonder. Let them ask. Let them be drawn to the spaces you choose not to fill. In a noisy world, mystery is a kind of quiet music, and the less you reveal, the more they will lean in to listen. Occasionally, one meets a person who can navigate a conversation on nearly any topic: art, history, philosophy, science, or the traditions of a distant culture. Their discourse is not for show. It is not an attempt to dominate. Instead, they possess a quiet depth, a richness of perspective that makes speaking with them feel like opening a door to a larger world. You walk away from the exchange feeling enriched, armed with a new idea, a fresh perspective, or a challenge to your own assumptions. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Developing cultural wisdom is the art of doing both. Looking inward to understand yourself, and outward to understand the vast tapestry of the human experience. The truth is, many of us remain within our own small bubbles, discussing the same topics with the same people. While there is comfort in familiarity, the danger is a slow narrowing of the mind. The Stoics understood the vital importance of a broadened perspective. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." When you expose your mind to different cultures, philosophies, and ways of living, your thoughts expand, and so does your life. You begin to see that your way is not the only way, a realization that makes you more adaptable, more compassionate, and infinitely more interesting. Cultural wisdom begins not with the shallow desire for a fact to impress, but with a far deeper curiosity, a genuine yearning to understand why people live, think, and believe as they do. This path unfolds when you read books that challenge your worldview, watch films about lands you've never seen, and engage in conversations with those whose lives have been shaped by different horizons. It is about asking thoughtful questions and truly listening to the answers. As Seneca wisely observed, "We were given 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we might listen twice as much as we speak." Advice that finds its perfect echo here. Developing cultural wisdom is as much about listening and observing as it is about speaking. When you cultivate this kind of knowledge, you bring more to every interaction. You can speak of more than the weather or the day's headlines. You can draw parallels between ancient philosophies and modern dilemmas. You can share stories of cultural traditions that most people have never heard of, not to impress, but to inspire that same curiosity in others. And here lies a subtle truth. When you share this knowledge without arrogance, without any attempt to elevate yourself, people are naturally drawn to you. They feel enriched by the conversation, not diminished. One of the most profound aspects of cultural wisdom is empathy. The more you understand how other people live, the more easily you can step into their shoes. You begin to see the logic behind actions that once seemed puzzling, and you realize that different does not mean wrong. This shift in perspective can transform not only your conversations, but your relationships. As Epictetus reminded us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. Cultural wisdom refines that view, allowing you to see beyond the surface and approach people with compassion instead of judgment. Of course, this is not acquired overnight. It is built one small choice at a time, choosing to read instead of scroll, asking someone about their hometown instead of making assumptions, trying a dish from a cuisine you've never tasted, attending a festival that celebrates a culture other than your own. Each of these experiences adds another thread to the tapestry of your understanding. Over time, those threads weave into something beautiful, an outlook on life that is wide, inclusive, and rich with perspective. This wisdom also strengthens your ability to adapt. Life will inevitably place you in situations where those around you think, act, and see the world differently. Without cultural awareness, these moments can feel uncomfortable, even threatening. But with it, they become opportunities for growth. You learn to navigate conversations with tact, to respect boundaries, and to find common ground even in disagreement. This adaptability is a quiet but powerful form of social intelligence. It is what allows certain people to walk into any room and connect with almost anyone. The psychologist Carl Jung spoke of individuation, the journey of becoming one's true self. A vital part of this journey is discovering your place within the vast tapestry of the human story. By learning about other cultures, you begin to see yourself more clearly. You recognize which parts of you are universal and which are shaped by your environment. You start to separate your identity from your conditioning, granting yourself more freedom to grow. And let us be honest, curiosity is magnetic. People want to be around those who are genuinely interested in the world. It makes them feel that you might also be genuinely interested in them. The energy you bring to a conversation when you are curious is different. It is lighter, more open, more engaging. You are not simply waiting for your turn to talk. You are exploring the topic together. That is where real connection happens. It is also worth noting that developing cultural wisdom keeps the mind sharp. Exposing yourself to new ideas is a form of mental exercise. You make connections between seemingly unrelated concepts, and that flexibility has benefits far beyond social situations. It can help you solve problems more creatively, approach challenges from new angles, and find meaning in unexpected places. As Marcus Aurelius advised, look beneath the surface. Let not the several quality of a thing nor its worth escape you. This habit of looking deeper is the essence of all wisdom. So, how do you begin? Start by expanding your inputs. If you only read one genre, branch out. If you only watch shows in your own language, try foreign films. Talk to people you normally wouldn't. Ask open-ended questions and be at peace with not knowing the answer right away. Most importantly, resist the urge to immediately judge what is different. As Socrates said, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. That mindset keeps you open, keeps you learning, and keeps you humble. Another key is to share what you learn generously. When you discover something fascinating about another culture, bring it into your conversations in a way that invites curiosity, not comparison. You are not lecturing. You are exchanging. When someone shares something of their background with you, show genuine appreciation. That single moment of respect can build a powerful bridge of trust. Over time, you will notice a shift. Conversations will feel richer. You will have more to contribute without ever dominating the discussion. You will see patterns in human behavior that transcend borders and languages. And perhaps most importantly, you will begin to appreciate both the diversity and the unity of the human experience. This is what the Stoics meant when they spoke of being a citizen of the world, a cosmopolitan. Your loyalty belongs not just to your own corner of the earth, but to the shared humanity that connects us all. In the end, cultural wisdom is not about collecting trivia or impressing people. It is about living with a wider lens, seeing more, understanding more, and connecting more deeply. It is about stepping out of your bubble and realizing the world is far bigger and more beautiful than you ever imagined. And when you carry that awareness with humility and warmth, you do not just stand out, you draw people in. Because you are not only someone who knows things, you are someone who cares enough to keep learning. And in a world full of noise, that kind of curiosity is unforgettable. There are those who walk into a room and bring with them a palpable sense of peace. It is not in what they say first, or even in how they look. It is in the way they make you feel. In their presence, you feel heard. You feel understood. You feel you can breathe a little easier. That is the quiet power of compassion, a strength that does not shout for attention, but changes the atmosphere wherever it goes. Carl Jung believed that knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of others. True compassion begins in this space of self-awareness, when you understand your own struggles well enough to meet others with empathy instead of judgment. We live in a world where kindness can often feel transactional. People help because they expect something in return: credit, praise, a favor owed. But genuine compassion is different. It is not about what you get back. It is about showing up for someone simply because you value them as a fellow human being. The Stoics saw this as a duty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Men exist for the sake of one another. Teach them then or bear with them." Compassion is part of our responsibility to each other, not a bonus we offer only when it is convenient. At its heart, compassion demands presence. You cannot be compassionate if you are half listening, already formulating your next response. You must slow down, offer someone your full attention, and let them know you are truly with them in that moment. This does not mean you must agree with everything they say or solve all their problems. Often, the most compassionate act is simply to listen without judgment. As Seneca said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." You need not wait for a grand moment to practice it. Every conversation offers a chance. Compassion is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it is a sign of profound strength. It takes courage to open yourself to another's pain without letting it harden you. It is far easier to keep your distance, to protect yourself with indifference. But indifference does not connect, and it does not inspire trust. True compassion means you can sit with someone in their struggle, offer support, and still maintain your own stability. As Epictetus taught, we must make the best use of what is in our power, and take the rest as it happens. You cannot control another's journey, but you can control the grace with which you meet them on it. One of the most powerful aspects of compassion is that it is remembered long after the moment has passed. People may forget your exact words, but they will remember the feeling of being respected, valued, and understood. This is why compassion builds influence. Not the loud, demanding kind, but the quiet, enduring kind that makes people want to be near you because they feel safe in your presence. To lead with compassion, you must let go of keeping score. If your kindness is conditional, it is not compassion. It is a trade. Help because you can, not because you expect repayment. If someone thanks you, appreciate it. If they do not, move on. The Stoics would remind us that the reward for virtue is virtue itself. Acting with compassion shapes your character, whether or not anyone ever notices. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Doing what is right, even quietly, is its own form of leadership. Compassion also requires boundaries. It does not mean sacrificing your own well-being to help everyone else. If you drain yourself completely, you will be unable to show up for anyone, including yourself. This is where self-awareness is key. Jung's idea of facing your own inner challenges gives you the perspective to understand others without being consumed by their struggles. You can care deeply while still protecting your own energy. That balance is what keeps compassion strong, preventing it from burning out. There is a practical side to this as well. Compassion applies in every part of life. At work, it helps you navigate conflicts without unnecessary hostility. In leadership, it inspires people to follow you because they know you care about their well-being. In relationships, it deepens trust and creates a foundation of mutual respect. As Epictetus taught, no great thing is created suddenly. Compassion works the same way. It is built through consistent, small actions, not grand gestures. If you wish to develop compassion, begin with patience. The next time someone frustrates you, pause before reacting. Ask yourself what might be happening in their life that you cannot see. This does not excuse poor behavior, but it shifts your perspective. When you approach people with curiosity instead of instant judgment, you open the door to understanding. As Michel de Montaigne once said, "The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself." When you are secure in who you are, you do not feel threatened by offering others empathy. Compassion also grows when you make a habit of small, intentional acts of kindness. Hold the door open. Send a message to check on someone without an agenda. Offer a genuine compliment. These moments may seem insignificant, but over time they shape the way people experience you. More importantly, they shape the way you experience the world. You begin to see opportunities to contribute positively, and that outlook becomes part of your identity. To lead with compassion is not to avoid difficult conversations. At times, the most compassionate act is to offer a hard truth, delivered not with judgment, but with empathy and profound respect. It is the difference between criticizing to tear down and guiding to build up. When you make compassion a core part of how you move through the world, you will notice it changes how people respond to you. Doors may open more easily, conversations may flow more naturally, and relationships may feel less strained. People gravitate toward those who make them feel valued, and compassion is one of the most reliable ways to create that feeling. Just as importantly, it changes how you see yourself. You begin to take pride not in how much you have gained, but in how much you have given without expectation. The Stoics would say that the measure of a good life is not in possessions or recognition, but in the quality of your character. Compassion is a key piece of that quality. It is a daily practice, a choice you make again and again to meet others with understanding instead of indifference. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. To love, in this sense, is not just romance. It is the decision to act with kindness toward the world around you. So lead with compassion, even when it is not returned, even when it is inconvenient, even when no one is watching, because the strength it builds in you and the light it brings to others is worth more than any recognition you could ever receive. In a world that often rewards hardness, choose to be the person who softens the edges without losing their shape. People may forget many things about you, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that is a kind of leadership that never fades. There is a rare magnetism in those who can enter a room and instantly lift its energy. They do not demand attention. They simply bring with them a sense of ease, a calm and warm presence that makes you feel lighter just by being near. They can laugh at themselves without a hint of insecurity, and they know how to find moments of light, even when life is far from perfect. This is not the forced, exhausting cheerfulness that feels hollow, but a grounded joy, one that radiates quietly yet powerfully. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Joy often begins there, in that quiet act of acceptance. When you are comfortable with yourself, you stop performing for the world, and your inner light begins to shine in a way that feels effortless. The truth is, joy is a discipline. It is not something that simply befalls certain personalities. It is cultivated. It is the daily decision to notice beauty, to focus on gratitude, and to refuse to let challenges consume you. The Stoics understood this well. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." To radiate joy, you must feed your mind with thoughts that keep you steady, not those that pull you into negativity. This does not mean ignoring pain. It means choosing not to live there longer than necessary. Humor is one of joy's most powerful companions. But true humor is not about being the loudest person in the room or making a joke of every sentence. It is about knowing when to ease the tension, when to offer a playful observation, and when to poke fun at yourself in a way that makes others feel safe to do the same. There is a certain bravery in joy and humor. It is easy to get caught up in seriousness, to let the weight of responsibilities and bad news keep you in a constant state of tension. To laugh in such moments is an act of rebellion, a quiet declaration that life, with all its weight, will not crush your spirit. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Choosing humor is a reaction that refuses to let life's unpredictability rob you of your spirit. It is not denial. It is resilience. Radiating joy does not mean pretending everything is perfect when it is not. People can sense false cheer, and it is draining to be around. What is truly magnetic is a person who can acknowledge that things are difficult, yet still find something to smile about. This kind of joy is rooted in perspective. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Humor often arises from stepping outside a situation long enough to see its absurdity. Once you do, it becomes easier to laugh, and that laughter has a way of making the problem feel smaller. And the most beautiful quality of joy is that it is contagious. The energy you bring into a space either lifts others or drags them down. We have all felt the relief when someone walks in with lightness, and the heaviness when someone enters with nothing but complaints. When you radiate joy, people want to be near you, not because you are perfect, but because you make the space around you feel better. That is influence without force. Humor, especially self-deprecating humor, can be a powerful bridge between people. When you can laugh at your own mistakes without spiraling into shame, you show others that it is safe to be human around you. This creates connection faster than any perfectly curated image ever could. Jung spoke of integrating the shadow, the parts of ourselves we would rather hide. Humor is one of the most graceful ways to bring those shadows into the light, turning potential embarrassment into shared laughter. Of course, joy and humor require presence. You cannot find the funny moment if you are always 2 steps ahead in your mind, worrying about the future or replaying the past. You have to be here, noticing the small details, a raised eyebrow in a meeting, the way someone mispronounces a word, the irony of a situation. These are the raw materials of humor and joy, but you only catch them if you are paying attention. It is also important to remember that joy is not about constant high energy. Sometimes it is quiet, a peaceful smile in the middle of a hectic day, or the warmth in your voice when you greet someone. Stoic joy is not about hype. It is a steady flame that does not go out when the wind picks up. You can still feel the full range of emotions, anger, sadness, frustration, but you return to joy as your baseline. That is what makes it powerful. If you wish to cultivate this energy, start small. Practice gratitude daily. Each morning, notice 3 things that make you smile. Seek out humor intentionally. Watch a funny movie, read a witty author, or spend time with people who make you laugh without effort. And just as importantly, be that person for others. Offer a light remark in a tense moment. Share an amusing story, or simply laugh with someone instead of at them. As Emerson once suggested, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, this is the measure of success. Joy is not an afterthought to this equation. It is its very heart. It is worth noting that humor can be incredibly healing. Laughter releases tension in the body, lowers stress hormones, and can even strengthen the immune system. But on a social level, it does something deeper. It creates bonds. When you share a genuine laugh with someone, you create a shared memory, a tiny moment of unity that says, "We're in this together." Those moments accumulate, and soon your relationships feel stronger, your environment lighter, and your own heart a little less heavy. There is also an element of leadership in joy. People look to those who can hold steady in difficult times, and joy is a form of steadiness. It is a message that says, "We can handle this, and we can still enjoy life while we do." Leaders who use humor effectively tend to build more trust and loyalty because they make challenges feel more manageable. They are not dismissing the problem. They are reminding everyone that the problem does not define them. Ultimately, to radiate joy and humor is to make a choice every single day. It is the decision to bring light where there is darkness, to lift rather than to weigh down, to connect instead of to isolate. This is not about ignoring reality. It is about refusing to let reality steal your capacity for life. As Epictetus would remind us, while we cannot control what happens to us, we can always control the energy we bring to it. So, laugh at yourself when you spill your coffee. Smile at the stranger in the elevator. Share the story of that time you made a complete fool of yourself. Let people see that you find joy in the ordinary and humor in the chaos. Because the truth is, the world needs more people who carry joy like a lantern, steady, warm, and bright enough to make the path a little lighter for everyone. And when you become that person, you'll find that people are not just drawn to your company, they seek it. They want that light in their lives, creating a presence that speaks louder than words ever could. 9. Prioritize self-care. There is a certain kind of presence that cannot be faked. You see it in the way a person moves, in the quiet energy they carry, in the unhurried cadence of their speech. They seem grounded, balanced, not in a way that seeks attention, but with a calm confidence that radiates from within. This presence doesn't come from luck or genetics. It is born from something deeper. The consistent, daily choice to care for oneself. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." When you neglect your own needs, the effects begin to surface as tiredness, irritability, a lack of clarity. These signs don't simply fade, they build until they can no longer be ignored. Self-care is the practice of meeting those needs before they become a crisis. The problem is that self-care has been diluted into an image of bubble baths and face masks. While there is nothing wrong with these things, they are merely the surface. Real self-care is far less glamorous, yet infinitely more powerful. It is choosing foods that fuel you over those that leave you sluggish. It is getting enough sleep, even when it means saying no to a short-term pleasure. It is staying active, not to chase an unrealistic image, but to ensure your body can support you for years to come. And it is protecting your mental health with the same urgency you would your physical safety. Self-care is also an act of discipline, not the harsh, punishing kind that drains you, but the steady, self-respecting kind that says, "I matter enough to show up for myself today." Seneca put it plainly. A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. If you constantly break promises to yourself, skipping workouts, staying up too late, neglecting your mental space, you slowly erode your own trust. But when you follow through on your commitments, even in small ways, you build self-respect piece by piece. And that respect changes the way you carry yourself. There is an undeniable attractiveness to someone who clearly takes care of themselves. This isn't about perfection. It's about signaling that you value your life enough to nurture it. People sense this energy, often subconsciously. They see someone with clear eyes, steady posture, and a calm alertness, and they recognize a person who has their life in order. You don't have to say a word. They can see it. But let's be honest. Self-care isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it's choosing to meal prep instead of ordering takeout. Sometimes it's waking up early to exercise when you'd rather stay in bed. Sometimes it's saying no to people you care about because you know you need time to rest. These are not the moments you post online, but they are the ones that matter most. Mental self-care is just as vital. It means recognizing when your mind is overloaded and taking steps to clear it. This might be journaling to untangle your thoughts, meditating to steady your breath, or simply spending time in nature to reset. As Jung believed, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Turning inward is not selfish, it is essential. Self-care also has a social element, choosing who you surround yourself with. If your time is spent with those who drain your energy or pull you into drama, you undermine your own well-being. Protecting your boundaries is not cold. It is an act of respect for yourself and your future. As the Stoics would say, your time and attention are your most precious resources. Spend them wisely. One of the most overlooked components of self-care is rest. In a culture obsessed with productivity, rest is often seen as a weakness. But the Stoics valued periods of stillness as much as action. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to step back, to breathe, to remember his place in the larger flow of life. Rest is not about doing nothing. It's about restoring the mind and body so you can do everything else with focus and clarity. In the end, self-care becomes less about a checklist and more about your identity. You become someone who eats to feel strong, who rests to restore their mind, who protects their peace. That is not just attractive, it is powerful. It's the daily commitment to treat yourself as someone worth investing in. And when you do that, you don't just change how you feel, you change how the world experiences you. 10. Build emotional intelligence. Some people navigate any social situation with a natural grace. They can enter a tense room and instantly sense the unspoken currents. They know when to be silent, when to ask the right question, and when to offer a meaningful word. They make others feel understood, effortlessly. This isn't luck. It is a skill called emotional intelligence. At its core, emotional intelligence is awareness of yourself, of others, and of the space you share. The Stoics understood this long before the term was coined. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." This is emotional intelligence in action. The humility to be corrected without defense. The ability to adapt without losing yourself. It begins with self-awareness. You must understand your own emotional patterns. What triggers you, what calms you, and how your moods influence your actions. Without this, you are at the mercy of your own reactions. As Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." When you pause long enough to question your initial emotional response, you create space between feeling and action. In that space lies control. Next is self-regulation. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions, but managing them so they serve you instead of sabotaging you. It is the difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is immediate, fueled by raw emotion. A response is deliberate, guided by thought. Then comes empathy, the ability to understand what others are feeling, even when it remains unsaid. This is the art of reading the room, noticing subtle shifts in tone, body language, and energy. Empathy isn't about agreeing with someone. It's about acknowledging their experience without judgment. When people feel that you understand them, they open up, they trust you. And that trust is one of the most valuable forms of influence. Building emotional intelligence takes practice, and it starts by slowing down. Instead of rushing to speak, take a breath. Instead of assuming you know what someone means, ask questions. Instead of matching anger with more anger, lower your voice and steady your tone. These small adjustments, compounded over time, transform how people experience you. The payoff is immense. People will see you as someone they can rely on, not because you are always cheerful, but because you are steady. You do not add chaos to a room, you bring balance. In a world where so many are quick to react and slow to think, that calm, thoughtful presence is rare and deeply attractive. 11. Be consistent and reliable. It is easy to make a promise. Words cost nothing, but follow through. That is where true character resides. The truth is, consistency and reliability are rare. Plans are canceled with a quick text. Promises are forgotten when something more convenient appears. Yet, when you encounter someone who shows up when they said they would, who does what they promised, it leaves a lasting impression. As Carl Jung observed, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." Reliability turns your words into proof. Without it, they are just noise. To be reliable is to be someone others can count on in matters both large and small. If you say you'll call, you call. If you commit to a responsibility, you see it through, even when it's inconvenient. Seneca believed a promise must never be broken. This doesn't mean life won't present obstacles, but consistency is measured by how you handle those moments. Reliability builds trust faster than almost anything else. Trust is not formed in a single grand gesture. It is forged in the small, repetitive acts of dependability over time. Consistency also signals discipline. It shows you can make a decision and stick with it, long after the initial excitement fades. But let's be honest, being consistent isn't always exciting. It can be repetitive, even mundane. That is why so few people master it. Yet consistency is not perfection. It doesn't mean you never make a mistake. It means you own it when you do. You communicate, you adjust, you make it right. This honesty doesn't just preserve trust, it strengthens it. This principle extends inward to the commitments you make to yourself. If you cannot keep your own promises, you will eventually break them with others. Self-trust is the root of all trust. When you consistently do what you tell yourself you will do, you reinforce your identity as someone who is capable, disciplined, and trustworthy. In a world where flakiness has become the norm, reliability is a quiet superpower. It may not make the loudest noise, but it leaves the deepest impression. People remember the one who showed up, not just once, but every time. In the end, being consistent and reliable is about integrity. It is about creating a life where your word is enough, because your history has proven it to be true. When you live this way, you are no longer just another voice in the crowd. You become the person others can build on, the one they know will be there, no matter what. And that is a legacy worth living. There are those who can speak for 10 minutes and leave you with nothing to remember. And there are others who can speak for 30 seconds and forever change the way you see the world. The difference lies not in vocabulary or volume, but in intention. It is the quiet understanding that words carry weight, and the discipline to use them with care. We live in an age where talk has become cheap, a world awash in conversations both online and off, most of them filled with little more than noise. But noise is not meaning. The ability to speak less while saying more is a rare skill, one that commands attention without ever demanding it. This is not a call for detachment or coldness, but for thoughtfulness. It is the art of not rushing to respond the moment another person's words have settled. It is the practice of pausing, of considering the true gravity of your words, and then offering something that genuinely elevates the conversation. One of the greatest errors is to speak merely to prove what you know, to over-explain, to repeat, to offer advice that was never sought. True authority requires no constant performance. It is revealed in action and reinforced by words spoken at the right moment. Silence, when wielded with intention, becomes a language all its own. In moments of tension, it signals strength. In deep conversation, it creates the space for another to open their heart. In negotiation, it applies a subtle, undeniable pressure. Many rush to fill a silence, mistaking it for weakness. But it is, in reality, a profound discipline. It is a silent declaration. I am comfortable enough in myself that I do not need to fill every empty space. To speak less is to listen more. And to listen deeply is one of the most underrated forms of influence. When you truly hear what people are saying, not just the words, but the meaning breathing behind them, you can respond in a way that truly resonates. Brevity also brings clarity. When you strip away the unnecessary, your message becomes sharper, more potent. Think of it as sculpting. Removing excess material does not weaken the stone. It reveals the form within. People remember clean, concise ideas far longer than they remember meandering explanations. This is why the great leaders and thinkers of history used brevity as their tool. They didn't just say something. They said it in a way that could be held, remembered, and passed on. There is a psychological power at play as well. When you speak sparingly, you create a sense of depth, a quiet mystery. People begin to wonder what you are thinking, what you might say next, and perhaps most powerfully, what you have chosen not to say. This curiosity naturally draws them toward you. This discipline also serves as a guard against regret. By pausing before you speak, especially in moments of conflict, you grant yourself the time to choose a measured reply over an impulsive one. This is not about withholding what matters, but about clearing away the clutter so that what matters can truly stand out. In a relationship, it is the difference between a constant stream of compliments and a single, heartfelt one that lands with genuine weight. In leadership, it is the clarity of direct instruction over a fog of over-explanation. To practice this, begin with intentional pauses. When someone finishes speaking, wait a beat. In that space, ask yourself, will my words move this forward? Are they necessary? Are they true? This is the heart of living with intention. Speaking is an action, and like any action, it should be deliberate. Observe the most respected person in any room. They are rarely the most talkative. They are selective, and because of this, their words are currency. The more you flood the market, the less each one is worth. Over time, you will find that by speaking less, you are heard more. People will associate your voice not with noise, but with substance. And most importantly, your focus will shift from trying to impress to trying to connect. For in the end, meaning often lives not in the words themselves, but in the spaces between them, in the silences that invite us to think and to feel. Silence is not emptiness. It is the space where meaning can finally breathe. There is a confidence that walks into a room before you ever speak a word. You have seen it. Someone enters, and without any grand gesture, they carry a presence that quiets the air. It is not merely their posture or their bearing, it is the feeling that everything about them is aligned, an authentic expression of who they are. This is the quiet power of dressing with intent. How you present yourself is not about chasing fleeting trends or displaying expensive labels. It is about a deeper understanding of what works for you, for your life, for your own nature. It is about choosing to wear what is in harmony with your character. This is balance. To present yourself well without becoming lost in appearances. To ensure that what you wear is an extension of you, not a costume. Intentional style begins with fit. The most luxurious garment will look careless if it does not fit your form, while simple, well-fitted clothing can convey polish and confidence regardless of its origin. Simplicity itself is a form of profound thought. A clean, well-fitted shirt, trousers that sit just right, shoes that are cared for. These are simple choices, but they speak volumes. Color, too, plays a role, not just in how you are perceived, but in how you feel. Certain tones can energize you, make you seem more approachable, or lend you an air of authority. The colors and styles you choose carry an energy, amplifying the way you wish to feel and move through your day, be it calm, bold, or focused. Another pillar of dressing with intent is consistency. Your style need not be rigid, but it should be recognizable, a visual signature that people come to associate with you. It is the thread that connects your choices, whether a preference for classic forms, a love for minimalism, or an appreciation for subtle detail. To know how to belong to oneself is a great art, and your style should belong entirely to you, not to the pressures and expectations of the outside world. Intentional dressing is also about preparing for the day ahead. If you have an important meeting, you dress in a way that makes you feel sharp and capable. If you are seeing friends, you wear something that is relaxed, but still reflects a sense of care. When your clothing matches the energy of the moment, you move with a greater sense of ease and confidence, and this ease translates into every interaction. A psychological shift occurs when you dress well. The act of choosing clothes that fit, flatter, and feel right sends a quiet signal to your mind. I am ready. You carry yourself differently. You speak with more assurance. This is not about superficiality. It is about the profound connection between mind and body. When you feel good in what you wear, you project that feeling outward. This does not require a complicated wardrobe. In fact, fewer, better pieces make it easier. Quality over quantity is a law of life. Invest in items that last, that are versatile, that hold their form. This simplifies your daily decisions, freeing your energy for what truly matters. Accessories, too, have their place. A well-chosen watch, a simple piece of jewelry, each should feel deliberate, tying an outfit together with a touch of refinement. And yet, even the best outfit loses its power if it is not supported by grooming. Cleanliness, well-kept hair, maintained shoes, these details are not small things. They are the foundation. A well-governed mind is reflected in the moderation of its dress and the simplicity of its care. Above all, authenticity is key. Clothing should enhance who you are, not mask it. People can sense when you are uncomfortable, and it undermines the very confidence you seek to project. Finally, dressing well is a form of respect, not just for yourself, but for others. When you take the time to present yourself thoughtfully, you show the people you meet that you value them and the interaction you are about to share. Your appearance sets the tone. In the end, dressing with intent is not about impressing others. It is about aligning your outer self with your inner spirit. It is about making choices that reflect who you are and who you aspire to become. When you dress in a way that is true to you, you are not just wearing clothes. You are wearing confidence, discipline, and self-respect. And that silent communication can open doors long before you have spoken a single word. There is a strength that has nothing to do with physical power or worldly status. It is the quiet ability to hold your center when everything around you is shaking. You have seen it in the person who, in the middle of chaos, keeps their voice steady, their posture relaxed, their mind clear. They are not pulled into the storm. Instead, they become the calm at its eye. This is the power of controlling your reactions. We live in a world that rewards impulse, the quick comeback, the rapid opinion, the emotional outburst. But there is a hidden danger in this immediacy. To control your reaction is not to suppress your feelings or pretend they do not exist. It is to be aware of them, to understand their source, and then to choose how to act in a way that serves you, rather than sabotages you. This kind of composure is magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who remain grounded when the world becomes unstable. The leaders we admire are not those who panic at the first sign of trouble, but those who can assess a situation with clarity and respond with intention. Their calm has a ripple effect, bringing stability to everyone around them. Remaining calm under pressure is also a shield. When you are quick to react, you can be easily provoked, manipulated, and thrown off balance. But if you are steady, such attempts have no purchase. One of the best ways to build this resilience is to become aware of your triggers. Notice what situations or words cause your emotions to spike. Then, instead of avoiding them, practice remaining centered in their presence. This may be as simple as slowing your breath, asking a question before you respond, or reminding yourself that your reaction is always a choice. This is not passivity. You can be calm and assertive, steady and decisive. The difference is that your actions will spring from a place of clarity, not from the turbulent waters of raw emotion. Mastering your reactions creates the space for better judgment. When you are not blinded by frustration or fear, you can see a situation for what it is. You can consider the long-term consequences instead of chasing short-term relief. This is the crucial difference between reacting to a moment and responding to a reality. As the Stoics taught, your power lies in how you aim the arrow before you let it fly. Once it is released, it is beyond your control. In relationships, this skill builds profound trust. It tells people they can approach you without fearing an explosion, that disagreements can be productive instead of destructive. This doesn't mean you hide your emotions, but that you express them in a way that strengthens connection, rather than severing it. Even in the small trials of daily life, a delayed flight, a rude comment, an unexpected setback, composure keeps you in command of your own energy. You do not waste it replaying arguments in your head. You accept what you cannot change and focus on what you can influence next. If you wish to strengthen this ability, begin with your body. When you feel emotion rising, consciously slow your breathing. Relax your shoulders. This physical calm sends a signal to your mind that you are safe, even in a tense moment. Then create distance with a simple question. Will this matter in a week? A year? That tiny pause is often all it takes to shift from blind reaction to considered response. Over time, people will see you as dependable in a crisis, thoughtful in conflict, and measured in your decisions. This makes you not just more respected, but more effective in everything you do. Self-control is the foundation upon which all other virtues are built. Without it, wisdom is clouded and courage is reckless. With it, you can navigate life with a grace and strength that others will admire, even if they cannot name its source. In the end, controlling your reactions is not about hiding who you are. It is about becoming the master of how you express who you are, turning raw emotion into refined action. And when you can remain calm while the world tries to shake you, your steadiness will speak louder than any outburst ever could. There is something compelling about people who are not always present. They are not constantly in your inbox, not the first to reply to every message, not at every event simply to be seen. And yet, when they do appear, the energy in the room shifts. People listen more closely. Their presence feels intentional, not accidental. They have learned a truth that most overlook. If you want your presence to carry weight, you must first create space for yourself. We live in an age of overexposure, where the pressure for constant availability suggests that it is a form of care or connection. In truth, being perpetually accessible can work against you. It erodes your independence, drains your energy, and subtly teaches others to take your time and attention for granted. The wise have always understood the danger of being too available to everyone. Your time, your focus, and your emotional energy are yours to command, and that command begins with setting boundaries. There is also an undeniable psychology at play. When you are always there, you become part of the background. Your efforts are normalized, your presence expected. But when you create intentional space, your return is felt more deeply. As the old saying goes, absence does not just make the heart grow fonder, it makes the mind more attentive. This is not about vanishing without explanation or playing manipulative games. Healthy space comes from healthy boundaries. It is about having the quiet confidence to unplug, to think, to create, or simply to be, without feeling the need to broadcast every moment. This self-containment does not push people away. It draws the right people closer. They learn that your time is valuable because you treat it as valuable. By creating space for yourself, you are not building walls. You are tending to a private garden. And when you choose to share what has grown there, it is received as a gift, not an obligation. Your presence becomes more meaningful precisely because it is not constant. You learn to belong to yourself first, and in doing so, you offer a more centered and potent version of yourself to the world. This means learning to say no without guilt, to turn down invitations that don't align with your priorities, and to resist the urge to respond to every message the moment it arrives. It's about choosing a pace that allows for depth rather than being swept away by a constant tide of shallow interactions. This space is also where clarity is born. When you step back from the unending hum of engagement, you can see the landscape of your life with objective eyes, your relationships, your work, your goals. This is a principle the Stoics deeply understood. They valued a certain detachment, not as a cold rejection of life, but as a lens through which to see it more clearly. Marcus Aurelius advised himself daily to take the view from above, to step back and see life in its larger context. That kind of perspective only arrives when you give yourself room to breathe. But the benefits of creating space ripple outward, far beyond your own well-being. They transform how others treat you. When you begin to honor your own time, others will learn to honor it too. When you demonstrate that your attention is a finite, valuable resource, it is treated as such. And when you are not always available, your presence is no longer taken for granted. Within this absence, there lies a profound creative power. Some of our best ideas, insights, and breakthroughs emerge only when we step away from the noise. A mind in constant motion has no room to wander, to forge new connections, or to glimpse unforeseen possibilities. This is why so many great thinkers, artists, and leaders valued solitude, not as an isolating void, but as the fertile ground from which innovation springs. To be clear, creating space is not about self-imposed exile. It is about finding the delicate balance between connection and separation. It's the rhythm of presence and absence that gives both meaning. Think of music. Without the silence between the notes, there is no melody. Without space, life becomes a relentless, featureless blur with no defining moments. You don't need a grand upheaval to begin. The journey starts with small, deliberate steps. Block out sacred hours each day, free from phones, social media, and interruptions. Dedicate a portion of your week to activities that truly restore you, whether that's reading, walking, meditating, or simply sitting in silence. And when you feel the pull of situations that drain you, pause and ask yourself a simple, powerful question. Is this the best use of my energy right now? That question alone is a compass, guiding you toward more intentional choices. Over time, a quiet transformation will occur. You will feel more centered, more anchored in your purpose, and people will notice a change in your presence, not because you are there more often, but because when you are there, you are fully there. Not drained, distracted, or stretched thin, but engaged, grounded, and truly alive. In the end, creating space for yourself is the ultimate act of self-respect. It is a declaration that says, I am not a resource to be endlessly consumed. I am a life to be lived with intention. It allows you to give more fully when you choose to engage, to preserve your energy for the moments that matter, and to let your presence carry a weight that only comes from not being everywhere, all the time. Because here is the truth. If you are always available, you risk becoming background noise, but when you create space, you become a voice worth hearing. Absence makes your presence not just valuable, it makes it unforgettable. And in a world that constantly clamors for more, that is one of the most powerful things you can give yourself. Ultimately, the life you live is shaped less by what you chase and more by what you choose to protect. Your time, your energy, your presence. Create space for yourself, and you will find that what truly matters will finally have room to grow. Thank you for being here, for being a part of Stoic Journal. If this message spoke to you, there's another video waiting for you on the screen, one that will take these ideas even deeper. I'll see you there.